And as soon as the racers are ready to go, they'll start up and we'll begin.
It looks like they should be about ready. Chris just having a whole bunch of fun with his file names here.
He loves Final Fantasy 1. He's letting Fiesel know that. Ah, he loves Fiesel. All right, and the race is underway. Here we have ChristosOwen versus Swerb in the Link to the Past Randomizer tournament.
First chest.
Go ahead.
Red rupees. Yeah, not a very good first chest, but maybe that'll matter when they get to Kakariko.
And most in chat are probably familiar with Link to the Past Randomizer at this point, but for those who are unaware, Link to the Past Randomizer takes all collectible items from all over the game, randomizes their locations, and sets you on an incredible journey where your goal is still to kill Ganon, but it's quite a bit different than what you're used to seeing. Alright, looks like we get the Cane of Birna.
Also not a fantastic item, but it helps a lot for some fights if you don't have the cape or just are struggling, like with Mothula or Blind, things like that, if you have the spare magic. Also lags the game quite a lot, so it's generally not ideal to use.
That is true. Swerb finding himself with the second bomb, which forgot to activate bombs. And a piece of heart in the map chest.
Yeah, getting one bomb is nice. Hopefully by the time he gets out of the escape, he'll have 2 or 3, and that'll give him access to like 8 or 9 more chests, which greatly increases the chances he'll have enough bombs for the rest of the run. And once they do get out, they can always check the trees as well.
Alright.
Swerb finds a 4-drop.
And we got the bug net for both players in the boomerang room. Chris heading downstairs to rescue Zelda. Swerb following just behind.
I always like this room. It's fun to see all the different strats people do. A lot of people will spin sword, a lot of people will double pot. Some people will just go over and whack him 8 times.
Looks like Swerb is going for the whack 8 times route. Finding another piece of heart in Zelda's chest. Chat is already calling for either Pedestal or Sarashala having required items. We haven't seen too many of those seeds in this tournament so far.
I believe yesterday was a big day for Sarashala having required items. I saw quite a few runs get hosed into the 2-hour or so mark. Just people looking for those needed items. Still no strong indication of where the game's going to take these players, but we'll see what happens once they get to the basement. And then they'll have those 3 chests down there, as well as the sanctuary chest. And usually by the time
the first floor chest as well in the sewers.
Yep, that one as well. And usually by the time you finish Kakariko Village, you've got a pretty strong indication of exactly where you need to go. So it looks like Chris is going to farm those snakes and does find a bomb drop. That's a very good route to look for bomb drops because you can pretty much kill 5 or 6 enemies in one go. And finds the 4 drop anyway.
Alright, so both players set with bombs for pretty much the rest of the run unless they get really unlucky with chests. Because at some point they're going to open chests that contain 3 bombs or bomb upgrades, which a +5 bomb upgrade will award the player with 1 bomb and a +10 bomb upgrade with 2. Alright, Chris about to enter the room with 3 chests here. The escape.
Wow, silver arrows right off the bat. So
finding the silver arrows.
If they find the bow quickly, that'll make the run a lot quicker. A lot of bosses will die to 1 hit from silver arrows, and pretty much any enemy in the game will also die to 1 hit. So if they're stuck facing off against strong enemies with just the fighter's sword, that'll come in handy for clearing dungeons. Book of Mudora. So it looks like Desert Palace is probably going to be required here.
Yeah, these players can do a lot of reading.
So at this point, most runners will come up here past the lumberjacks and check to see if Aghanim is required. The item behind the lumberjack tree, you can only get to once you've killed the lumberjacks and dashed into the tree. Looks like Chris deciding to go back for a second try. Finds a bunch of arrows.
Not sure what he was going for there, possibly rupees.
Yeah, rupees will be nice. The trees can spawn red rupees, which gives you 80, which is really good going into Kakariko. Ooh.
And we find Titan's
behind
Ag. So almost certainly Aghanim will be required.
Yep, and that's a very, very valuable item to have early in the run. It opens up quite a lot, so I expect that the first chance any of these players get, whether it be an upgraded sword or the cape, they will go straight to Aghanim.
You may see either of them hold off on Aghanim until they get the boots, since they'll need the boots to get the item anyway.
Yeah, hopefully, and there's the 80 rupee drop. That's very good. Yeah, hopefully the boots aren't on the pyramid.
Alright, both players finding themselves with an arrow capacity upgrade. Chris was making the motions to skip the item, stopped for a second and decided he was going to take it. Swerb finding himself with the arrows from the tree, so not quite enough rupees for the bottle salesman.
Yep, and depending on what he finds in the chests in the thieves' hut and the well, if the bottle salesman has a very good item, Chris could find himself in a strong early lead here.
Interesting to note that Swerb pretty much caught up as Chris was farming the tree and making a few little interesting plays, killing that one jelly. Little choo-choos. Alright, we got a bomb capacity upgrade, piece of heart, full heart container, and 50 rupees. So Swerb would not have to farm. He'll be able to get the bottle salesman just with the rupees he picks up in this room. Chris going for all the rupees there, and Swerb doing the same.
Yeah, these days I usually like to go for all the rupees. Too many times I'll have like 480, and it'll be real awkward when you go to turn the 500 into Sora. So other than the book, still nothing major yet. We'll see what happens with the well, but after this, it'll be interesting to see if they go to the eastern part of Hyrule to grab the generous guy and the ice rod cave, or if they go straight to the desert.
Yeah, we got red shield for both players here, another piece of heart, Rupee chest and yet another piece of heart. Kakariko not being very kind to these players. We'll see what Bottle Salesman has in store.
Single arrow.
Single arrow for 100 rupees. What a bargain.
To be fair, that is a silver arrow.
You're not wrong.
Bombing the chicken coop hut. My favorite thing to do here is to pick up one of the chickens and throw it at the wall as it's opening, and they'll get stuck inside.
Players find themselves with another heart container. It's looking like this seed may start out quite linear for these runners.
So my understanding of the way the logic works is it's more likely required items will be gated behind other items. So it may be more beneficial for them to go straight into desert. They can grab the chest in the cave and the several chests in the actual dungeon, depending on if the boots are required for the lamp or not. Or they can grab the 4 chests on Eastern Hyrule.
Yeah, both players spying the lamp in the library, so it'll be interesting to see if either of them go back for it, all depending on their comfort with dark rooms. Both players saving and quitting. Heading down to Southern Hyrule. We'll see if either of them head over towards Generous Sky. Looks like Swerb may be heading to Generous Sky first.
Swerb taking the long grassy path, which does slow you down significantly. So Chris probably gained easy couple seconds there.
Swerb, one of the players that decides to drain the water in the dam first, and then going back for the chest. Finding the shovel outside. Swerb obviously going to pick that up. Swerb heading
to the desert.
Yeah, Swerb heading straight to the desert. We'll see if this pays off for him. Chris heading into the Generous Sky Cave.
So this is a good spot for one player to get really far ahead. If Swerb finds, say, the boots or an upgraded sword and opens up his path a little more, and Chris opens a bunch of useless chests, then we may have a early lead here. Which it looks like these are all useless chests.
Ooh, Generous Guy not being so generous to Chris. I'll be curious to see if he now decides to head over to the ice cavern, since he's already this far over. Looks like he will be. Swerb only finding himself a heart container. No, Chris going for fake flippers.
So we'll get to see what's on the island and under the hobo.
Swerve's buying the level 3 sword on the ledge and Bombos on the island for Chris. Swerve entering the Desert Palace. Did either player get a look at the maps yet? Speaking of taking a look at the maps, it looks like we have a Crystal at Tower of Hera. Chris almost taking damage from an arrow there. That would have been terrible.
You have to be careful fake flippering there. If you start on the, I believe, higher end of that map coming in, the guard will see you and shoot an arrow at you, which will hit you if you don't move out of the way.
Chris only getting 50 rupees from the hobo. Now looks like he's going to go dig up the shovel spot.
I didn't see if Swerve checked. Well, there's the boots, so it's irrelevant.
Swerve finding himself with the boots.
So at the very least, definitely taking an early mobility lead. the fact that the boots are here as well as the sword, and we know Titansmith is under Aghanim, so it is extremely likely that when Swerb grabs that sword, he will go straight to Aghanim.
We'll see if Chris does the same. There's that possibility that Chris may head to Eastern Palace, and it looks like that's exactly the direction he's headed.
This is one of those moments where the items being gated behind other items comes into play, so Chris could potentially find something very good here, but as far as the actual seed logic, it looks like they really wanted you to go to Desert Palace.
Crystal dungeons, so far the only known one is Tower of Hera.
Mirror Shield.
Chris finding the Mirror Shield, which is nice but not required. And it looks like at this point in time, Chris is going to head to the desert. Can't think of anywhere else he'd be going right now. Swerb finding himself with the level 3 sword. I can't believe it's not butter.
And it looks like we now do see Chris heading over to the palace.
Curious to see if Swerb... Yeah, it looks like Swerb is going to go get the lantern first. He's going to go dig up the shovel spot, find himself that piece of heart.
So all these hearts are actually kind of nice because it's looking like these players are going to have to venture into the Dark World with the green tunic. And Dark World enemies do quite a large amount of damage. You're pretty much looking at 2 hearts minimum being hit by anything. And if they find an early hook shot and end up going maybe up to Death Mountain, I believe the Sphinx is up there. They go that route, hit for something like 4 hearts. It's very easy to just die out of nowhere.
Maybe more than that. Can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I want to say if you're green tunic, they might do 8 hearts. It may be 4. Swerb heading into the Aghanim dungeon. Chris finding himself with the boots.
So it'll be interesting to see where these 2 runners go after they get the Titansmiths. The obvious spot, obviously, would be Dark Kakariko, but they might go check Death Mountain first, or they may check Northern Dark World since they have the boots, but that'll be a little slower without the mirror.
Chris about to head out, get his level 3 sword, and we'll probably see him save and quit very fast and start going along the same route as Swerb.
Like the dash strats for the red guards there, that room is a little silly. If you kill the enemies, but there's a spear mid-flight, it won't open until it hits the wall.
Yeah, I always find that interesting. I guess it's considered part of the actual enemy. I still don't want to know what's up with those guards when they're facing left or right. It just looks like they have a knife sticking out of their face. And worth noting, Chris did not go straight back to the save and quit. He did decide to go out and check the cave in the desert, just in case. The heart container is a nice little bit of insurance.
So it's like Chris's likely going to check the cave under the rocks and maybe even... I guess he can't check the graveyard yet, so he'll just check the cave under the rocks first.
And finding himself with money.
Yeah, I don't particularly agree with that decision. It seems like a very low value play to make with regards to how many chests are available, since he should know that Titan Smiths are at Agon.
Yeah, it's very high risk, low reward. Considering risk being time spent. He may have stopped there because it does look like his main goal was the lantern here.
Yeah. Well,
so the decision wasn't as terrible.
Yeah, it's on his path either way, but he'll have to visit it again when he's going through Northern Dark World. Usually, assuming he finds the mirror, they'll usually do that whole route through the graveyard at that point as well.
Okay, Swerb killing Aghanim. Going to go check the pyramid item. Finding the regular gloves and just passing those.
Yep, not going to be very useful.
Not at all, considering he is on his way to the mitts.
Going to get his mitts on some mitts.
Let's see if Swerb stops by the rocks on the way. Looks like he is. Finds himself 20 rupees. Time to murder us some lumberjacks, says the chat. And dashing that tree makes so much lag.
So Swerb has a couple options here. Obviously, he would be getting to most likely Death Mountain. Since they don't have the Moon Pearl, the portal in Kakariko Village, they actually can't get out of because there are bushes and rocks there.
Yeah, I can't think of anywhere else he would go at this point.
So at this point, it seems extremely likely that the old man has the mirror, or it's up on top of Death Mountain.
Yeah,
pretty much the mirror or the hook shot would be the only things that would really open this up. Maybe the bow, or if they want to go kill Moldorm in Desert Palace would work as well.
Old man may not have anything, but then the Spectacle Rock Cave would. And yeah, we're just finding a blue bottle here.
And that does give them access to the Dying Kid.
Oh, that is true.
Maybe the Dying Kid has the bow. Was unfortunately mauled by wild animals and can no longer hunt.
₹5 on Spectacle Rock and the mushroom in the cave.
Which is another fetch quest, so now he gets to decide which one he wants to try first.
So I could probably the safer bet here, just because you're going to go over towards the witch's hut. You probably want to make a Zora's Domain trip out of it as well. And he doesn't quite have the rupees for that.
Yeah, and in the event the sick kid has, say, the Moon Pearl, you're kind of right there with access to the obvious portal.
He may go east over towards... Yeah, he's heading over towards the cemetery now to check the grave. Okay, yeah, he stopped for a second. So it actually looks like he was on his way to the witch's hut. Chris
finds
Kelly,
the Master Sword. It seems it's the only other sword that would show up there. since he has the level 3 sword, if you find a sword in a chest, it won't downgrade you. It'll just show you the sword you have unless it's an upgrade. So it has to be the Master Sword.
Oh, Swerb taken to death. A little bit of an opportunity for Chris to make up a little bit of ground. And interesting to note, Swerve's only really ahead right now because he didn't go do the Generous Sky or Ice Cavern.
Yep. Did he grab the lantern while he was over in Kakariko?
Swerve did not. He dug up the flute spot and just left. Okay, so we're finishing up this quest. See what he gets here, and it looks like he is just getting a heart container, which he will take. And we're going to see him save and quit. Probably head over to Kakariko at this point.
Looks like that's exactly where Chris is going as well, not even going to bother with the mushroom. And unfortunately, respawned at the wrong location. Actually, Chris has not been to Death Mountain yet, so he does not have the mushroom or the bottle.
Oh, that's a very good point. Completely forgot about that. So Swerb actually still with a pretty significant lead. Alright, Swerb heading into the Dying Kid. He's going to find himself a red rupee. So at this point, it's looking like...
Yeah, so the remaining options would be Moldorm, or... Swerb would have to get the lantern first, but he could do Moldorm. Or if he wants to venture into Eastern Palace, there is a few items in there.
He cannot do Moldorm. No way to get up to Tower of Hera.
Or not Moldorm, sorry.
I can't even think of what they're called either.
Brain fart, the worms.
Yeah. Swerb? Grinding rupees here?
Interesting that he decided to do this after already going to the mushroom location.
It's possible that he just
Thanks,
doesn't
Chad.
think...
That's the one.
Yeah. It's possible he's just not thinking, like, there's anything else that he can do right now or anything that's worth his while. I'm willing to bet that Land Mollus has something for these runners.
Yeah, it seems likely that they gave him both the book and the lantern in this seed, but I mean, there could be multiple paths to take, and he's already here at the desert, so it's not very far out of his way just to go complete that. Did you see which pendant it was?
I don't think it was green. Green pendant, I believe, is in Dark World. This one, I think, was blue.
So he's going to be in here farming rupees for quite a while, so this gives Chris just an amazing opportunity to catch up here.
Chris also getting the bottle, now that I think about it.
And he is checking the sick kid first, so we'll see if he decides to go right to Desert Palace, or if he decides to farm rupees and then go to the mushroom.
We may see him go to Eastern. Looks like he's going to go turn in the mushroom.
No, neither player that I'm aware of has checked Ice Rod Cave. Chris was down there and Big Flippered instead.
Very interesting choice given the logic of casual difficulty, as I feel like it'd be more likely for the Ice Rod Cavern to have something of value.
Not necessarily, just because it's a chest you have access to from the start of the game, but it's also likely that the hobo could give them an item that they can't make use of yet.
All right,
For
Swerb
example,
is now doing Generous Guy. Getting a double. Ooh,
that is a rough death.
We may just have seen Chris take the lead.
It looks like Chris is going for that Ice Rat Cave. Most likely knows he can finish Landmolas, just since it's a pendant dungeon. He's probably trying to avoid having to go all the way back over there.
1 second silence for Dying Kid. Okay. 3 bombs. Swerve about to be incredibly disappointed.
Chris not saving quitting. Wonder if maybe he's going to fake Flipper again and go up to the Witch's Hut through the portal. Looks like he's instead going to check the ledge.
Very interesting choice here by Chris. Only finding a piece of heart.
Opts not to turn in the mushroom while he was right there.
Swerve not saving quitting either.
Well, Swerb actually does have enough for Zora, so this makes more sense here. So he can actually go buy Zora's item.
Okay, he does get fake flippers. Not too certain where Chris is going right now.
Looks like chat is saying Chris already turned in the mushroom.
He did. Which is why he didn't do that, of course. I should know that.
Chris doing something I haven't actually seen done yet. And I would explain it if I knew what it was. That's a new one for me.
Swerb dying again. Here in Zora's domain.
Yep, fake flippering to Zora is a little risky. He does have the fire shield though, so he could just walk and dodge fireballs.
He was walking. He died to Zora's. We'll see if he knows that he can go into the Witch's Hut to get healed.
Looks like Chris made use of the Chris Houlihan room, is what I'm finding here. Which is just a room filled with blue rubies. For 225 total rupees.
And 3 bombs for 500 rupees. What a seed we have here.
And I believe Chris will now be going to the Eastern Palace.
He did already check Sarashala's hut, if I recall correctly. So he's just heading straight there.
Looks like Swerb is made it to Zora, so we'll see what item he has.
3 bombs.
All right, Chris did just grab that while I was looking at the Chris Houlihan. And mirror.
Chris finding the mirror.
That's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. It does allow him to go complete Tower of Hera at this point.
Yep. And Tower of Hera has both a crystal and gives him access to the tablet. Looks like he is
really worth
going
noting, though, the mirror doesn't really do much else for the runners right now.
Correct. So, unless they have the Moon Pearl, the mirror's actually not super useful. They can go into Dark World through Aghanim, but I don't believe the mirror will actually give them access to anything there. Because you need the hammer or the hook shot to get to the other parts. Chris finishing Eastern Palace. It's pretty unlikely we'll find another important item here, but there is that one chest left. And
he's hoping it's right here.
Yeah. And it's not. So he has to go into the boss cave as well.
And on that same note, he has to hope that the last item is there.
That is true. Also, if it's not, then there could be an item gated behind Armos Knights via the bow. But either way, at this point, the run has kind of hit a dead end. The only things that would really open it up here would be either the Moon Pearl or the hook shot, I believe.
Correct. Hammer as well, because they could hammer over to Eastern Death Mountain. So
that is
hammer
true.
would give them options. Blue Tunic was the last item of the dungeon, so unless for some reason Master Sword Pedestal has a required item, it looks like these runners are done with the Eastern Palace for good.
Chris using the bomb ladder trick to get up that ladder super fast.
Chris is going to go check the medallion.
So both the hook shot and the hammer would give them access to Eastern Death Mountain. The only difference in pathing here would be the Moon Pearl gives them access to Dark Kakariko Village, as well as the Catfish.
Swerb still does not have the lantern, although it does look like lantern is not necessary for beating Tower of Hera.
Someone in chat is correct that loot is also a possibility. That would give them access to the... Actually, that wouldn't, because without the Moon Pearl, they can't open chests, so... And they already have access to Landalas, so maybe not.
It would give them access, and I've had this happen in a seed before, and there's the Moon Pearl, so... Tower of Hera is huge for these runners. I've had it happen in a seed where the Moon Pearl was actually in the chest, or in the room under the rock in Northeast Desert.
Right, yes, you can get to that one. Probably going to have to do a lot of dodging of birds walking there, which actually the bunny can't outrun, I don't think.
No, it's pretty common in that scenario to
Just mirror warp them away.
Yeah, mirror morph them away, even though it uses up a little time.
So I'd say these runners at the moment, outside of the fact that Swerb may still need to grab the lantern, probably only about a minute or two apart, depending on how well Swerb does the tower.
Kind of interesting to note. We'll see. Oops, wrong player. We'll see if Chris decides to go back into the Tower of Hera to get the item in the basement. Very highly doubtful.
I imagine he might. It looks like he's not. I would say it's usually a good idea, just on the off chance that that item is something you need. Backtracking to Tower of Hera is kind of a pain. You don't need to. Chris beelining it straight to Kakariko Village. So we may get our first chance to see what the crystals are, or the remaining pendant is, rather, in Dark World here.
Looks like the remaining pendant is Swamp Palace, which is unfortunate for these runners because Swamp Palace does contain 6 item pool items. Swerb missing the bob jump there. That's really unfortunate.
Yep, and that's
gonna fall multiple floors here.
Yep, that is a bad one to miss. And left with no way to activate that switch either, so he has to mirror back out. So we'll have to re-clear the 3rd floor room here, since the enemies respawn when you mirror.
Chris clearing out some of the Dark World Thieves Town here and not finding a whole lot. Looks like he is gonna bring Froggy home.
Normally I like doing the chest game or the digging game first before I take this route, just because it's the only thing you can't do with the purple chest, but it's also a little out of the way, so it wastes a lot of time if it's not something you need.
And getting the flute, huge payoff here for Chris. Swerb did get his Moon Pearl. And Swerb getting that first crystal.
So if Swerb takes the time to go into the basement here, we will get to see if that's a required item or not.
Swerv's not going to because he has no method of making fire.
That is true. He never grabbed the lantern.
Curious to see if he ever does. Chris flying with the chest.
Yeah, at this point, if he's comfortable doing the dark rooms, I don't think there's anything else he might need the lantern for before getting the fire rod. Misery Mire and Ganon's Tower, I think, are the only ones where you need to light switches that don't require only the fire rod.
Yes, Dogbull, you can fly with the chest. Carry on only. So Swerb attacking the chest guy. Chris going up to check the Cape Cave, finding red rupees.
Did you happen to see if Chris checked the other house in Dark Kakariko Village?
Yes. Both houses were money.
And it looks like neither runner opting to do Thieves' Town while they're right there. Thieves' Town could require the hammer for an item, but does not require it to complete. Nomic Swerb, he's checked the library, but he has not gone to get the item in there, which is the lantern.
We may see him do it here. Swerb is just dropping bombs whenever he feels like it.
If I saw that correctly, it looked like Quake required from Misery Mire.
That's just what I was about to ask if you saw that or not. Kane of Samaria and the Flippers. Very nice cave. And a flute for Swerb. Chris finding the ice rod.
Ice rod definitely required here. So interestingly enough, if he wanted to, Chris could move on over to that island and go right to Ice Palace. Pick up Bombos, go right to Ice Palace. He doesn't have the hammer, but there are, 6 chests in there if he really wanted to do that.
I'm trying to think, where did we see Bombos?
It was on the island, in
yeah.
Lake Kilia. There's still a lot of chests to check in the Dark World, but it doesn't look like these runners can actually full clear any crystal dungeons yet. They're missing the bow and the hammer for Dark Palace. They would need the hook shot for Swamp Palace, the Quake for Misery Mire.
Chris is going to go check the catfish. Huge gamble here. Is going to catfish is a significant amount of time.
Meyer had the cane and the flippers. And Ice Rod was in the checkerboard cave. So Chris going back to... Maybe
Turn
not.
around.
Wanted that 20 rupees. Well, he does have enough to do the dig game now. Interesting that he's doing this and not farming the 100 rupees off of the chest game.
He may not know about the chest game.
Oh. Swerb picked up the hammer from the flute kit, it looks like.
Oh.
And we may see Christos following that same path down here.
Hype cave hype. Cape. Red rupee, 10 arrows,
Fire rod.
fire rod, and a piece of heart.
So hammer means they can full clear Thieves' Town. Fire rod means they can full clear Swamp Palace, or Skullwoods rather.
They can also do Ice Palace now.
Correct, Ice Palace.
They can. That's about it.
Yeah, 3. So they've got access to 3 crystals, about 12 chests between those 3 dungeons, maybe a little more.
5, 6, 10. If I'm counting correctly. Up and Swerb finding the bow.
Wow. So Swerve.
I mean, Chris is right on his tail.
Yeah, and Swerve is now going into Mire, so he's going to find the other items. So it looks like they're going to find the same items, just in a different order. And pretty soon we might see them just start running through and clearing dungeons. Vamos, so far not required. We don't know what Turtle Rock is yet, but we'll likely see them just knock these out one at a time, and whether they find the medallion that they need is kind of just up to chance. If Vamos might let them into.
Chris finding himself with the bow.
And Swerve finding the ice rod. So at this point, I mean, they're pretty neck and neck. It's going to come a lot down to mechanics. So whichever runner flawlessly executes some of the harder dungeons and harder bosses.
Still worth noting that Swerb is playing without the lantern.
Yeah, but now that he has the fire rod, lantern definitely not technically required. If he knows how to do the dark runes, then he won't need it at all.
It looks like Swerb might be going to Steve's Town.
Swerb not taking the high ground and probably going to be farming some money here.
Probably just getting that 130. I'm not sure how much money he's going for here.
We need... has he done the dig game yet?
He has not.
Yep, so he would need
Chris's
80 there.
Stream is lagging a bit. Chris heading to Dark Palace.
Osni, we don't know yet because we haven't yet seen what pendant or what medallion Turtle Rock requires, but if it is Quake, then yeah, Quake and Hookshot would be all they're missing.
Swerb is now going in to get the lantern. Probably a smart choice here since he was going by that area anyway to head down to the dig game.
So Chris opting for Dark Palace first, which he has all the needed items for. And Dark Palace has more chests than any of the other dungeons. I believe it has 6 items in it.
I believe 5. Swamp Palace is the best at 6.
Yep, you're right. Dark Palace is 5 and 6 small keys is what it is.
Steve's Town is a crystal, yes. Alright, Swerb is heading into Steve's Town.
Yep, so looks like they're taking a slightly different path to Crystal Dungeons. At this point, if one of them finds Quake, they may just opt to start speed clearing each dungeon, and that can give someone a huge advantage, assuming Turtle Rock also needs Quake.
They may do that regardless at this point.
They need Hookshot as well, actually.
Being able to clear a couple dungeons right now, we're probably going to see both Swerb and Chris kind of start taking care of those few dungeons that they can do. Just get them out of the way and hope to pick up some of those key items along the way.
So interestingly enough, since Swamp Palace isn't required, it's technically possible that Ganon's tower may not need the hookshot, I believe, if the key is on the right side in those first few chests. So I'm wondering if it's possible we could have a hookshotless run.
Chris hesitating there for a second, trying to think about where he wanted to go. He is going to have to...
Oh, yeah, Chad is right. Hookshot needed for Moldorm. Well, you could hover past Moldorm, but I don't know if any of these runners are able to do that. But that would be very interesting to pull off a hookshotless run. And pulls the bomb jump off flawlessly.
Very nice.
It's actually not something I've even practiced yet. One of those random things that can save you a lot of time. Backtracking through this place takes a while. You'll see a lot of runners grab that chest and mirror instead.
And Chris doing just that. I haven't been looking at Swerb's stream too much, so I don't know if he got anything of value.
I don't believe he's found anything yet.
Yeah, if he did, chat would be letting us know.
So, fun fact, this bottom area of Beefstown is a good place to recharge your hearts. I believe 3 pots in this room all have hearts, plus the Syzaxes, I think they are, also drop hearts a lot too.
Interesting thing to note as well. Chris has yet to equip his silver arrows. He was just fighting the enemies with the regular arrows. And never mind, he did just equip those after that one previous room. Now some runners will opt to wait to equip the silver arrows just because of the lag that they cause. I think most runners just opting to not worry about the lag and just using them. Unlike me using my words. Alright, both runners coming up on their second crystals here very shortly. Swerb having a little bit of difficulty there at the very end of the blind fight. Nothing too major. Finding an arrow capacity upgrade.
Interesting that he didn't decide to use the cape. There's no concern for magic because it'll refill once you beat the boss. The cape makes that fight a lot quicker and a lot less laggy. Just using the hammer-only strat.
Yeah, not keeping his sword poked out. It's interesting.
I believe this is technically faster, but much more risky.
Chris with a very clean keep kill on a Helmisar King. Grabbing his second crystal. As well as 20 rupees for his efforts. Swerve going into the peg cave and finding 20 rupees, getting out of there as quickly as he can. We might see Swerve head up to Skull Woods here.
Oh, looks like he's going to...
Skullwoods?
Yep, he is going through the back entrance.
Chris is heading up to Eastern Death Mountain.
Most likely going to check the Spike Cave and the Eastern Dark World, which is a good number of chests. And he technically has everything. Well, if Turtle Rock is Quake, he has everything he needs to do that as well while he's up here.
Swerb finding the small shield.
That's unfortunate.
Especially since this dungeon does only have 2 items.
Looks like Chris did not opt to check the Spike Cave. I guess he wants to see what item he needs first. So, we know where Bombos is, if that's what's required here.
Chris crossing his fingers for Bombos, and that's what he sees.
So Bombos is on the Lake Helia Island, so he hopefully should remember exactly where that's at. So now he just needs to find Quake for Meyer.
That fairy just does not want to be caught. And I'm being alerted to a stupid pun that I made by chat. And Chris crossing his fingers.
So Swerb going into White Mothula, which is another fight that's much easier with the cape. You can use the Fire Rod instead, but you'll still take a lot of damage given that Swerb is on less than 3 hearts. I imagine he will opt for the cape instead.
He does still have that blue potion. We might actually even see him use that. Especially now that he's only at 1 heart. That too.
So he can currently take a hit. And we've got cape strats.
Opting to use his blue potion. I didn't see what Chris got in those first 2 chests.
I believe it was an arrow upgrade.
Keeping an eye on his stream now for the mini Moldorm room.
Mothula trolling Swerb a bit here, just hanging out in the corner. There we go.
We do have powder for Chris, and not much else. Swerb now getting his 3rd crystal of the run.
Chris picks
blue
up the
boomerang.
gold sword.
And
Good
butter.
old butter sword. Going straight for the powder.
Yep.
So, since Chris knows exactly where Bombos is, it's interesting to see if he'll wait to do Turtle Rock last and hope he finds Quake somewhere else, or if he'll grab Bombos and go right to Turtle Rock since he knows he can clear that one. He still has Ice Palace as well that he can full clear, so he may go there as well.
Maybe they do still need Quake. And Chris heading into Steve's town.
So it's around this point I usually start brainstorming all the ways a seed could really ruin my life. One of which would be Turtle Rock has the hook shot and the Master Sword. Pedestal has Quake.
I mean, if we do in fact see that, we're in for a long run. Swerb heading up to Catfish. He's going to find himself with, I believe, an arrow capacity upgrade.
Christos making very, very quick work of Thieves Town so far.
Looks like Swerb is going to head to Dark Palace. Both of these runners avoiding Ice Palace.
Which is common. Ice Palace has a lot of items in it, but it's also very, very long to navigate all of those.
Yes, both runners are hoping that they can get go mode before having to go into Ice Palace, so that they can just skip the whole thing.
Yep, and depending on what they get stuck on, it looks like it's fine here. But I know in the race I had, for example, last week, the hammer was in the Ice Palace. My opponent went to the Ice Palace first, and I checked everywhere I could that wasn't the Ice Palace, and then went to the Ice Palace, and then left it and checked some more places. And that'll lose you a race really easily.
I mean, that's Randomizer for you. Chat calling you out here, saying that Ice Palace doesn't really have that many, sitting only at 3.
Well, yeah, I guess that's third place, or not third, third to last. But I mean, his other options would be Turtle Rock, so which has more items, but is once again an annoying dungeon to get to.
Excuse me for one moment, I'm just going to go refill my glass of water.
Looks like Christos opted to blind the audience with the mirror glitch here. Finds his own arrow upgrade and grabs another crystal.
Alright, I'm back.
Hi, back. I'm Zero-Rish.
Wow. And the chat loving your jokes.
That's a classic.
Looks like you updated the tracker with the third crystal for Chris.
Yep. So nothing exciting really going on right now. We're just kind of watching these two go through the motions. They really only need just the hook shot and quake, so it's got to be in one of these dungeons that they can't clear, or it could be in Turtle Rock or something, or it could be under the pedestal, which would be fantastic.
It would be quite good.
And we will most likely see Chris check the pedestal here after he's done, or maybe even before he fights Mothula. Something I don't think Swerb did when he was over there.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time, but just being able to know what's there.
Yeah, and E-Dave Hookshot cannot be in pedestal because Swamp Palace is a pendant dungeon. But Quake can be.
Chris having a very nice lantern room there.
I do believe this man has done this before. Mothula always a real fun fight to watch. I've had plenty of fights against him where he just hangs out in the corner and never leaves, and you can never hit him.
And Chris getting crystal number 4. Swerb closing in on his 4th.
Yeah, number play bringing up a good point here. A hook shot could be in the Hera basement with Quake on the pedestal. That would be a fun one. So we're about to find out.
Yep, Chris is going to go check pedestal. If it is Quake,
and it's maximum
it's
health.
Max health, so Chris probably with a little sigh of relief there as he was hoping for anything but Quake. Chat very upset. Not today, boys.
I mean, we still could get the Hera basement troll, so we'll just hold out hope for that one instead. Get the second best. Is Swamp Palace green pendant?
Swamp Palace is green pendant, so we actually may see the runners complete that.
Yeah, so it could be Hookshot Hera basement. Or Hookshot off of Trinix.
Yeah.
Would be fun. Quake. And
Chris finally going to pick up Bombos. We may see him head over to the Ice Palace. Getting stuck on a bush.
Fun fact from VTorp, Christos wrote most of the Master Sword pedestal text, apparently.
Huh. Swerb getting his 4th crystal. We did just see Chris, what looked like he realized he didn't have the medallion as soon as he went towards Meyer and is now just going to Ice Palace.
Yeah, so assuming Ice Palace does not have Quake, his only option at this point is most likely just going to be going straight to Turtle Rock. which is convenient because while he's up there, he can grab the hookshot from the Hera basement.
Which is obviously where it is. Interested to see if Chris decides to go for any chests here. Looks like he's going for this one. And he finds himself the hookshot. Huge payoff. Oh yes, Chris did get bombos. My apologies.
Yes, from the other.
Thank you, chat.
So we get to see the fun room here. The strat here is to kill both of them with one bomb, which will only work if you hit the bottom one with a pot and knock it up. If you miss the bomb won't kill the other one for some reason. It'll only reach it if it's hitting both, which is very unusual.
Huh.
Looks like Chris going for the bomb jump, so we may just see him skip a lot of this dungeon.
Gets it first try.
And Swerb takes a death.
Looks like that may have been an intentional death. Did he get to check the chest there?
So chat bringing up a good point here that hookshot opens up all of Swamp Palace, which is another several chests.
Chris finding the
Several
big
being 6.
So it does look like Chris is going to clear out some of this dungeon.
Yeah, it makes sense. It would be really unfortunate to miss Quake in the Ice Palace, just because there's no easy way to get to all these chests. You just kind of have to go through the whole thing. Looks like we see Swerb heading over to Eastern Death Mountain, most likely going to check Turtle Rock as well.
Quake must now be Hera basement.
No, it could still be Green Pendant.
It's true.
But I think that's a little less likely to get missed at this point than Hera basement.
Swerb checking the medallion, seeing bombos. Hopefully remembering that he has seen that somewhere before. Actually
yeah, I don't think Swerb
he
has checked the island because he did not fake flippers, so I don't think he's been over that way.
I'm pretty sure he did fake flippers, but oh, there's Quake.
Yep, and good thing he checked all of those chests. Titan Mitts was behind a lumberjack cave. Oh yeah, that was Ether, not Quake.
So
might want to correct that one.
Mode.
So nothing has changed.
Oh yeah. My apologies, chat.
It's like go mode except with the wrong medallion. You are correct. That's a very bad go mode to be in.
I may or may not be running on about 3 hours of sleep. And been up since 5. So I'm prone to make a little mistake like that. But now chat will never forgive me.
So we're struggling a bit, those mini hold arms.
And dying here. Very unfortunate.
So at this point, Unless Chris really, really doesn't want to go to Turtle Rock, that seems like it might be the obvious choice. He could go scrounging around for chests, but I think in terms of time invested, Turtle Rock's probably his best bet. He can at least get the crystal out of the way as well.
Looks like that's exactly what he's doing. Now, probably going to see him head to the Hookshot Cave first. Just to clear that out. I mean, that's a good 5 chests available. 5? 4 or 5?
It depends on if I don't recall if the item on the floating island was needed, but I think there's only 4 chests in the cave.
Red Rupee. Yeah, it is just 4 chests.
Oh, Swerve's so close to checking that basement, but goes right past it.
Yeah, heading back over to Eastern Death Mountain.
And Christos going into Turtle Rock. So if Turtle Rock has Quake, he's good to go. He can swing over to Meyer, get the last crystal, and be on his way. If not, he's going on a quest to find it. And there are several locations it could be. It could be behind the Green Pendant, it could be in Swamp Palace, it could be in the Hera basement. And he's just going to check the actual Shot Cave first as well, which could be in here too.
Up, and Swerb got that boomerang. That's the item I missed earlier. I believe he also got something else here. Now we probably will see Chris do everything in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, most likely. There's not really any reason he wouldn't.
Yeah, unlike Ice Palace, doing everything in Turtle Rock, like if you're in Go mode, obviously you're going to avoid it. But if you're not in Go mode, there's nothing that's too out of the way. That's like so far out of the way and so inconvenient that it just pains you to do it.
And we see the Burna getting put to good use there. Just Burna dashing straight through all of these rolling pins. But he does run out of magic.
It's okay, he'll pick up the magic jar right here and be good to go.
And I don't believe he's used his blue potion yet either, so he should still have that.
Hook shot for Swerb.
Very nice chompy room.
Yeah, going with that single block strat.
Sort of struggling a bit there with the bomb on the switch, but does eventually get the hole open.
Okay, so we're going to go for the bomb jump here.
Yep, and we'll get to see if Swerb decides to clear the palace as well. As we know, there's not much else in here, so...
He does get the bomb jump first try, very nice.
The Master Sword pendant was a heart container.
The Master Sword pendant.
I'm just reading chat. I answered the question I was asked.
And that question was, what is Master Sword pendant?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
He corrected himself, though.
Swerb not going and finding Bombos.
Half magic in the Mimic Cave, that is very useful. Half magic makes Ganon's tower so much easier. Like, you can, if you don't need to pick up the magic refills there, you can save quite a lot of time. And finds
So
another
much.
blue bottle, so that's irrelevant at this point then.
So Swerb going down like he's going to fight the boss and leaving. Thinking, well, I should probably clear out some of the chests in this dungeon just in case. I'll be very glad that he did.
So it's starting to look a lot more likely that Quake is somewhere obscure.
Now, I haven't been counting items, but he does still have some chests to get here, so...
Yeah, well, one of
Let's
them
go
will
get
be
another
a
bottle.
small key, which is right there.
Chris opting to refill his health with one of his potions, finding 100 rupees there. And bringing up the save and quit dialogue.
That's how rage-inducing getting knocked off there was.
I didn't check. Did Swerve open the chest with
I don't believe I saw that one.
Ether?
So Christos...
Once again, I keep
Heading
thinking that
into
he's going to find
Trinex.
something good here, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't need the chest here.
Yeah. We know Christos cleared it. All we got was the hook shot. And there's Ether for Swerb.
Alright, Ether.
And Zero cycling the first phase of Trinex. Very nice. And so you can spin slash him out of this transformation and kill the main body in 2 hits as well, which he does.
Very nice fight there by Chris.
It really doesn't get much more perfect than that for that fight. And that's a fight that can cause a lot of trouble if you let the blue head throw ice all over the room in particular.
Alright.
So let's see if he remembered that he needs to check Tower of Miracle, which it looks like he does. So I can't imagine any other reason he's heading over there. Nope, going for Spike Cave, I guess, is actually a reason to head over there. So you swerve, head into Cold Stare. Misses knocking him into the corner, which will cost him quite a bit of time on this fight.
Alright, So Chris opting to fly to his house. We might be seeing Chris doing
Swamp Palace, yeah.
Swamp Palace here.
A lot of chests in Swamp Palace, so very good chance that Quake could be in here.
Lots of chests and the green pendant. Oh, wait. Looks like Chris is going for a double-chested fairy.
Yep, that works as well. That's a little bit closer than Swamp Palace in terms of actually getting to the chests, so...
Bombos was on the island in the lake.
Looks like Swerb is heading for Bombos as well. So depending on how long this search for Quake takes, this could be a good opportunity for him to catch up to Chris. He's only a crystal behind, which is Turtle Rock. And then if he somehow finds Quake immediately afterwards, then he should be all set.
Alright, so there's Bombos.
And Dux, yeah, you can mirror with the big bomb if you do it when the... I believe when the timer's at 0, that might be going back into Dark World from the warp, though.
I'm not sure where Chris is going here. And Swerb.
Maybe double checking to make sure that it was Quake he saw. I believe when he checked it the first time, he just kind of quick glanced at it. Looks like we see Swerb going for the Bat Cave. And Chris, I believe, finally heading to Swamp Palace.
Yeah, not a bad move at all.
Should be the only place left that I can think of with an actual collection of chests. Otherwise, he's just grabbing random one-offs from different areas. These are always very frustrating seeds because you're just kind of running around searching for that one item for so long. Turns what could be like a 130, 140 seed easily into 2 hours.
Yeah, and that's probably about what we're going to be looking at here for these runners. For Chris, at least.
Yep, I mean, if he finds Quake very, very quickly, he can probably knock Misery Mire out 8 minutes or so, maybe less. And probably be pretty set on pace for 2 hours between Ganon's tower and Ganon himself.
For sure. Chat says it's going to be in the big chest with the big key coming from Argus. Just a troll. We do see Swerb, it looks like, heading towards Turtle Rock now.
Swamp Palace, one of those good dungeons to have left when you are in go mode. Unfortunately, this is a pendant dungeon this run, but you can skip the entire western half of it. Just grab a small key and go through the door, because entering the boss room, unlike most dungeons, does not require the big key.
Yeah, very good dungeon to have in go mode. Not so much when you're not in go mode as we're seeing here. It does take a little bit of time to clear.
Yep, and also one of the dungeons that's significantly slow to clear without the boots, I've noticed. Just because you have all these winding hallways to run through. Chris successfully not soft blocking himself out of this dungeon by flooding that small key.
Yeah, he went into this room first so that he could hit the crystal.
Yep, it's a little quicker to do it that way, since you get the small key from the skull outside in the main room. That way you don't have to backtrack twice.
I'm trying to think of what one-off locations neither player has been to yet that may have Quake other than the Hera basement.
There's Hera basement, a green pendant, which obviously they can't check yet. I believe they've both done the digging game, or at least Chris has.
They have both done the digging game, and Swerb dying there.
That's a big time loss, unfortunately for him.
It could be a lot worse, but yeah, definitely a significant loss of time there.
He does get to refill his magic though, which is nice. I mean, he's probably going to use most of it getting back there, but
yeah, he will be finding that half magic shortly, as long as he decides to go into the Mimic Cave.
I got to see a fun run earlier where a player had to do dying again to the chomps. He might just want to consider switching to cape when he's going to get that chest at this point.
He did get the chest.
Oh, okay. So he's good there.
Yeah, he just has to go through the room now.
Yeah, so we got to see a run earlier where someone had to do the Mimic Cave with bombs. Spent like 9 or 10 bombs to kill the mimics behind the wall. And then got rewarded with 3 bombs from the chest.
Oh wow, that did not happen to me. Okay, Chris checking these.
Finds Quake.
Finding Quake.
And immediately leaves. So Chris is, I mean, not that there's much left, but he's ready to go. And Meyer is definitely another dungeon to not have to full clear. Saves you a lot of time. There's just, the chests are spread out all over the place. So barring any major mistakes from Chris here, it seems at this point unlikely that Swerv's going to be able to check or to catch up. I believe he also has more locations to check, so depending on where he decides to go next, he may end up wasting a little more time. But the Ganon's Tower itself is definitely a place where you can make a lot of mistakes and make up a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Chris is hoping to find the key right here on the bridge.
Which he does.
Wow.
So I believe, do you need a small key going into the basement or Meyer?
I believe you do, but you get one right here.
Yep.
Well,
Looks like maybe you don't.
maybe you don't.
You might need a small key just to get to the door. Because you can access it from the left side too, but I believe that door is also blocked. So Swerb definitely going to find half magic here, just clearing out the Mimic Cave. And chat pointing out that you don't need a small key in the basement itself.
Yep, you get the big key and you just go.
Oh, this is his Samaria dash, unfortunately, but not a huge time loss. And then forgetting as well that he hadn't actually hit the switch getting the big key and had to go back and re-hit it.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. You get so used to a certain routine. That happened to me in a run about a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, muscle memory is big in randomizers, so if you're used to maybe doing the traditional any percent strats or anything like that, that you can still find yourself getting really punished, missing obvious stuff you've never even considered.
Nice thing is, in most cases, something like that isn't a very big time loss, but of course in a race and in speedruns in general, any time loss is, you're trying to minimize that.
Chris making quick work of
very quick work.
Vitreous here.
Swerb properly using the mirror shield in this room, something that I actually did not know about until just a few days ago.
Yeah, you can also mirror skip. You just walk along the top of the path, and the laser will pass right by you.
Okay, now we are going to see Chris head towards Ganon's tower.
Yep, so now would be the time to start putting in your guesses for how many chests they need before they find the big key.
All right, chat, start giving us those guesses. Oh, VTorp with the 2.
That's ambitious. I had a run earlier this week where the big key was on the lamp. So it was technically 3 for me, but depending on which way you go, you could easily make it number 1. Which is always fun. 12.6 from Jake Hooper. That would be impressive.
Maybe he's just setting an over-under line. I'm going to take the over.
Got
Yesterday
couple
was
22 guesses here. I'd like to see these people punished.
12.7. 12 chests, then finds it on the torch. There's a vote for Hera Basement.
I've always thought that would be a fun little community event. Just give 2 runners the a custom trolliest seat possible.
Okay. We keep an eye on Chris's stream while also keeping track of Swerb. Chris finding nothing in the first 2 chests, so 2 is no longer a valid guess. Oh, let's give Swerb that 6th. Oh, 3!
3 it was. Who got 3? Quite a few people guessed 3. So this is going to be a very quick Ganon's tower. And it's...
we got what's a town without no ducks calling it.
And with Christos having an additional blue bottle, even barring a, even with a major mistake, it seems unlikely he would die during the gauntlet. it would take a very long series of screw-ups for that, so he's pretty much cemented his lead at this point. Swerb still
is
looking
now
for Quake.
going to double-chested fairy.
Torp, correcting our terminology, we should be saying locations, not chests.
It's true.
Lamp is not a chest, but is randomized.
And Swerb not finding anything.
Christos not even bothering with either the fairy in the room or the fairy under the bunny. Just gonna run it on 6 hearts and a blue potion.
Bunny beam, just completely ignoring it. Looks like we might be seeing Swerb head straight to Swamp Palace now.
Yep, looks like they both more or less took the same routes. As mentioned before, a lot of it's going to come down to execution, which Christos has just been tearing these dungeons apart. Fortunately, Swerb has had quite a few deaths, both in Turtle Rock and elsewhere, that have slowed him down quite a bit.
Still showing a very good understanding and just very good play overall, just making little mistakes that unfortunately are costing him.
Yep. His pathing itself is, definitely great. Like, these runners have pretty much taken the same exact pathing.
Chris taking intentional damage there to just continue clearing this as quickly as possible. Is going to want to keep an eye on his health.
He should be
take
fine
the fairy
for now. I don't believe there's anything in the tower that will hit blue mail for 3 hearts. And the last chest is red ruby.
Can I actually check the last chest? I was actually thinking if we would have seen his inventory there, if he was sitting at 3 pieces of heart, possibly just checking it to see if he can get a full heart container and get that health. Alright.
Just getting 2 hits on first orbs, 2 on second. So most likely going to be a 3 cycle here. And it is very, very nice time.
Yeah, very, very nice.
The only way to beat that is by getting it perfectly, which is very, very difficult. So doing that on the spot after, everything going on is...
And the fun thing about these tournament races is, Chris is now entering the Ganon fight, but the nerves can still be very high here because if you know your opponent, and you know their ability, and you think you're close, you just have to assume that your opponent's right there with you.
Yeah, and this is a randomizer is something that has a very, very high tilt factor to it too. So just your emotions getting the better of you, you start making a lot of very simple mistakes. For example, Quake under Hera Basement would have probably put a few people on full tilt. And then you get to see them go through Ganon's tower while frustrated, which leads to all kinds of fun shenanigans.
find the arrows in Hyrule Castle.
Ooh, missing the arrow and not bothering the lamp glitch either, so that's going to make this fight take a little bit longer for him.
Lamp glitch definitely a lot more helpful if you have to do the fight without silvers. Doesn't add a whole lot of time to miss it if you're doing the fight more traditionally, but it does add a little bit.
And look like Chris going for the double arrow occasionally. The only way that'll work is if, again, it doesn't hit the side where the holes are. So like if he's next to the lamp or just further in the middle of the room, you get 2 silver shots out, so you can take a whole warp rotation out if you do it well. And Christos does finish. GG.
All right, good job to Chris, finishing with a 150-45. Very nice turn from him. Swerb won't be too far behind him. Swerb's definitely, pretty much in go mode, even though he doesn't realize it yet.
So we'll probably be getting Chris here in the commentary channel for an interview pretty shortly.
Let's I'll try to grab him in here real quick. First of all, let me see.
Yes, Intellect Quake is needed to access Misery Mire.
We should hopefully be seeing Chris hop in here very shortly. I'm trying to think about when it really was that he took the lead and kind of started running away with it.
Quake is in Swamp Palace. He's going to find it right here.
Yep, and there's Quake. We are now going to see... We're going to see him go straight for the finish, and looks like we have Chris in the waiting room, so I'm going to bring him over for the interview. Hey there.
Hello.
So, first of all, good run, Chris. Obviously, you found yourself the winner here in this race.
I had no idea how close it was. How is Swerb?
It was pretty close for a while there. You really took it away. I believe it was right around the Palace of Darkness area. Just a lot of... You and Swerb were more or less doing the same path, maybe in a little different order. Just a lot of unfortunate deaths on Swerv's end that cost him a lot of time in the long run.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, if you're not watching, Swerb is just now entering Misery Mire. Just got Quake Medallion.
Just found Quake.
Yeah, he just found Quake, and
quite the quest.
Yeah, it was a very interesting seed. We had a lot of people in chat, and not going to lie, we here in commentary, we're kind of hoping for something a little trolly, maybe along the lines of having Quake be in Tower of Hera basement, since neither of you went back to check that.
Ooh.
Chat obviously wanted the Master Sword pedestal to have something huge.
Yep.
Before you finished, before you found the hookshot in Ice Palace, we were also hoping for the possibility of Trinex having the hookshot and Quake being the Master Sword pedestal, which would have turned this probably into like a 2.5 hour run.
Yeah, that would have been insane. I'm glad I checked the pedestal with the book to see what it was.
Yeah, we were wondering if either of you were going to do that. Swerb opted not to check it. You opted to check it. Everybody started getting hype, and then everybody was let down.
That's pretty much how it goes every time.
So I feel like there's not really a whole lot to say about this seed. It seemed pretty straightforward for the most part.
It didn't feel like it.
No, I'm sure. Like from a viewer's perspective, it's way different. But just the early game was just so linear. Really, there wasn't really much going on. You guys saw that the Titans mids were at Lumberjack, and probably just wanted to die when you saw that.
Yeah, that's true. I think once we had mitts, that opened things up a bit, at least.
Yeah, definitely did.
I don't know whether Swerb got the blue mail in Eastern or not.
He did, yeah.
He did, because I had a couple of decisions where I could either leave the dungeon, like I was in Eastern, found the mirror, and it was a pendant dungeon, so I could have just left at that point.
And here we just saw Swerb with the, just that
Same
what
switch
we call it
mistake.
earlier? Just the, you get those reflexes. You get just in a mindset. You have, you just go on autopilot sometimes in these dungeons, and then making that same mistake Chris did in Misery Mire, hitting that switch.
Yeah. It happens though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's happened to me personally as well. Happens to everyone.
Happened
I think
to
my
me,
favourite
just a
thing
week ago.
about this was when I went to the Houlihan room. I've never done it before. I've never had the need to do it. But
Yeah, both of you went.
Yeah, that saved you a significant amount of time. Swerb he farmed up 300 or so rupees at the Thieves' Cave, and whereas you did it, a fraction of the time.
right. I checked out what the pool prize packs were early on, and there were 4 reds in there. But because I defeated Ganon, the location of where the pool trees are change, and I actually have no idea where they are in post-Ganon state. So I was like, okay, now what do I do to farm? I was like, Houlihan.
And we do see Swerb getting his last crystal, so we're going to see him head up to Ganon's tower now.
Yep. Yeah, the Houlihan was great. The chat seemed to enjoy that. I've never seen that before personally, and I don't think anyone's done it as far as I know in this run, or in this tournament rather, unless it was one of the late night ones I missed.
It's unlikely. I don't think that many people know how to do it, and the need for it is pretty rare as well.
Right.
Let's see how many bonks.
Yeah. So
We forgot to ask the chat, figure out how many bonks they think you would have.
yeah, that
You
is
can get
coming up.
last minute guesses, chat.
Am I allowed to guess as well?
You sure can.
Let's go with 22.
Okay, we got 24, 32, 33, 25, 20. There's a 12 out there.
Man's got
Jeez.
faith.
Did you see this run?
Well, you didn't need to bonk your way around Ganon's tower, so that'll bring it down a lot for sure.
Hey, a good friend of mine, who I believe is actually in chat right now, was watching me do a practice run just the other night and said, I'm going to set an over-under line instead of a guess, and I'm going to set the line at 17.5. And I was like, that just seems high, because I felt like I had a really good run, and I didn't have a lot of bonks, and sure enough, I had exactly 17. I was like, wow, that's a really good line to set.
I'll take it.
26.
26. Did we see any 26s?
I saw a 26, but it looks like that 26 probably
Number
came after
play.
yours.
Tell Megiddo.
Yeah, we had quite a few.
So, what was the reasoning for not checking the Hera basement? If I recalling correctly, there should have been an item down there. I think.
Yeah, I knew, like, when I exited Hera, I knew there was still an item in the basement. It's just very time consuming.
Right.
And at that point, there were still so many locations left to check that I didn't want to sink that much time in right then.
Right.
When I entered Swamp, actually, I was really, like, going through my mind thinking, where could it be if it's not here? And I was like, there's Hera basement, there's Lamola's Armos, and the Green Pendant. And then I suddenly remembered that I hadn't checked Peg's Heart Piece by the Smith's house. And I was like, oh no, it's going to be there. And I was convinced it was going to be there, the whole of Swamp. I was just thinking, should I leave? Should I carry on? I'm glad I obviously continued.
Yeah, we were trying to, for a while there, decide whether you were going to try and do Ice Palace or Turtle Rock first, since most people generally avoid those like the plague.
Yeah. I try and do, if I'm able to finish a crystal dungeon and there's no convenient overworld locations left, I'll hit the dungeon, even if it's time consuming. Which worked out well at Ice Palace.
Yeah, because that was Hookshot, which got you Wake.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And that was also where chat decided they will never forgive me for being a bad item tracker.
What did you miss?
And oh well, no. When you got Ether, I mistakenly thought it was Quake. And we had
Called
quite a
Go
number of
mode
people
and
in
everything.
chat calling Go mode. Like, it was a little bit of a fiasco.
I even had to go back to my own double check that it was in fact Quake.
We did see that. We thought it was Quake as well, but when you checked it the first time, you kind of just took like a peek in the corner, so it's very easy to miss that.
It's funny, both of you actually went back to check that medallion at the exact same time. Both of you were right there at Meyer, like, what medallion was it again?
I have a notepad file open and I write like really small hand notes, and I had written it was Quake. But I was questioning myself.
Yeah, once you start start scraping the bottom for those random chests you missed, every note you take starts looking a lot less reliable.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I think I'm gonna jump off here and leave you guys to the commentary and tune into the rest of the Swerbs run.
All right,
Sounds good. Thanks for
the
joining.
interview, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much. Thanks for commentating. See you later.
See ya. Okay, so everybody, that was ChristosOwen. Everybody in chat, definitely go ahead and give him a follow, as well as Swerb. Both of these runners putting on an excellent run for you guys. As Swerb is finishing up, and I'm sure we'll get him in for an interview as well, just to continue plugging this tournament. You guys can stay right here at about at 7 o'clock. We will have Triscorp versus Weapon right here on Speed Gaming Channel, as well as Carcat versus In the Name of DT over on Speedruns Live. Commentary on the Speedruns live stream will be by Sakura and the OK Guy, with commentary here by Ursula. So definitely keep one or both streams open for more Randomizer. Runs tonight all the way up through 9 p.m. Eastern, and a pretty full schedule tomorrow as well.
Yep, and I believe our fellow commentator here in the gym, bro, has a match tomorrow at 9. I also have one at midnight, so definitely feel free to tune in. We'd all appreciate it.
Yep. Looks like in chat, Christos is now 3-0 in his pool. I haven't had a chance to check all of the standings, but generally it looks like in most of the groups a 3-0 is pretty safe for making it out of the round robin.
Yeah, it should be. He would have to... Yeah, I don't think a 3-way 3-1 tie is possible with 5 people. Unless I'm miscalculating that. So Swerb making quick work of Ganon's Tower and Moldorm there, just coming into Ganon.
Yep, he had a very good, very nice Ganon's Tower.
Getting 2 hits first cycle there. This is a fight I'm actually trying to practice a lot. It's a lot easier in Randomizer because it doesn't spawn the blue balls, but figuring out on the fly where to position yourself to get the most number of warp hits based on where the shadows are located and which one's channeling first, definitely very hard to do. It just takes a lot of practice. So Swerb going to head right over here, probably going to take on Ganon immediately since he does have half magic. I can't recall if he has any blue potions left, but if he does die or maybe falls in a hole, we may see him opt to go grab a refill before trying again.
Yeah, and I'm not too familiar with either of these runners really, so I'm not sure Swerve's ability here in the Ganon fight, but
looks like he is familiar with it. You saw him stop swinging there. That's because with the typically this is done with the tempered sword in like the actual 90% run, but what happens is Ganon has a set amount of health per phase. With the gold sword, I believe it's 4 swings for each phase.
6 swings per phase.
6, yeah, 12 with the tempered, right? And so once you get him below that part, you kind of just need to wait. In the second phase, when he moves his head back and forth, he'll stand up and start spinning his spear. That's when he's vulnerable. And then in this last phase, he'll teleport to different corners of the room and spawn the fire bats. It does miss the glitch, unfortunately, which will slow him down, but shouldn't be too bad with the silvers. And he does get a double hit. Very nice. 2 doubles. No.
Missed that last double there.
The lamp went out. Yeah, so the third phase, he'll spawn the fire bats. If you hit him quick enough, he won't do the fire bats, but you just need to hit him the 4 times there for each one until the floor is all gone and light the lamps and kill him.
And seeing some GGs in chat here for Swerb. Very nice run by him, and I'll put a note out there since the next race will be starting fairly shortly. Try to get Swerb in here for a quick post-game interview.
Still a very, very respectable time, especially for a seed like that. The seeds where you have to run around into unneeded locations at the end to find that last item generally take the longest. And you'll see that the times, the hour 30, hour 40 times are generally the ones where either they're very straightforward or they just find everything they need right away, and it's who can boss rush the fastest.
Right.
Golden, the runners in the next race, there's 2. On Speed Gaming, we have Triscorp versus Weapon, and on Speedruns Live, we have Carcat versus In the Name of DT, both of those starting at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. And then beyond those, there will be another race at 9 p.m. Eastern here on Speed Gaming between AND4H and Leodox. Actually being commentated by Jet082 and Swerb. All right, and here we have Swerb, bringing him over to the channel now.
Yeah, I need to mix lunch.
All right, well,
Hey,
here we have Swerb here in the chat for a quick little post-game interview. Good race there by both of you guys. Of course, unfortunate that you lost by a little bit there, but definitely a good run by both of you guys. Take us through your emotions there during that weird seed that you guys had to deal with.
I don't know. I obviously just got very frustrated very early on. I took a lot of early deaths, and it just kind of snowballed.
Yeah, that's one thing we were mentioning. We did have a good number of deaths. Some of them cost you a little bit more than others. Overall, pretty good run. It was actually very close up until you guys got the mitts, and then your paths kind of diverged a little bit. Chris actually opting to go over to Dark Palace fairly early, while you went to, I believe, Thieves Town. And then things just kind of went out from there. Zero Rush and I, and of course the chat, were saying about possibility of troll locations, and neither of you checking the basement in Tower of Hera. Chat was kind of holding out hope that Quake was located there. And we actually saw what looked like you were about to head back in there at one point in time, but you never did. Did the thought ever cross your mind of heading back to some of those more obscure locations, looking for those last items?
Not until a last resort. I knew that was a possibility, there's still that basement hero room, and both the eastern and desert bosses are gonna have an item drop. But I basically opted not to do those until I exhausted all my other options.
Right. And of course, you now finding out that there was just a full heart container there at the Master Sword, although not much else it could have been at that point. Chris actually opted to check that at one point to see if he was going to have to kill everything. And the chat was looking for that as well.
Yeah, that was kind of crossing my mind when I was looking for Quake. And I was like, well, I have all of Swamp Palace. If I clear that and it's I don't find Quake, it wouldn't take me very long to just go to Desert and Eastern and kill those bosses real quick. So if I didn't find it, that's probably what I would have done, and then just hope that the Master Sword paid out, because I had checked almost all the other overworld locations at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, both you and Chris had pretty much cleared everything out, so you were kind of running out of locations. And both of you pretty much took the same path, went to Turtle Rock first, followed by Swamp. As we know, it was in Swamp, so hopefully... Luckily, it wasn't too bad of a troll. Swamp's obviously a good one to check for chests in general.
Yeah, it's just a pain to clear, so I wanted to save that until I didn't have many other options left. Yeah, it ended up being closer than I was expecting. I know Chris is probably a little rusty, but I wasn't really anticipating to win going into that, and now I don't know, it was 16 minutes off. If I had not gotten so tilted early on and just played terrible, it could have been a very close race.
Yeah, we had actually touched on that a little bit as well with the emotional state for doing a run like this, where both of you were more or less taking the same path, maybe in a little bit of a different order. But what it really came down to at the end was mechanics, and obviously those few deaths cost you a bit, and I had made the comment about getting put on tilt early and then just kind of snowballing the mistakes from there. That's one of the things I've seen affect me the most in my runs. And it definitely seemed like, especially once you got to Turtle Rock and had to fight through the chomps twice.
Yeah, that was so dumb. I don't know. There's a lot of, that's what is most frustrating. There's I had the cave, I had a lot of safety things. I could have easily gotten through there without dying. But also at that point I'd kind of not fully given up, but I was not anticipating to lose or to win at that point at all. I think it was the stupid death I took in the Zora River. That was kind of the turning point for me. I was super frustrated from there.
Yeah, at first I had thought that because you had the fire shield at that point, I believe, and I thought you were fake flippering the whole way there, because it's a little quicker than walking.
That would have been a good idea.
Yeah, but and I thought maybe you just got hit, but Ninja Bro there corrected me and said you just, I guess, ran into or just got swiped by a fireball, taken out.
I think
real quick chat. Sorry to interrupt, but number of bonks is coming up. If chat wants to start guessing the number of bonks for Swerb, it's coming up here in just a moment. I know chat likes to play that little game. And the guesses are rolling in.
Items for Ganon Key 3. Always good.
Always good. Always good.
Always good to see. Always good to see 0 for level 1 sword bosses as well.
So many deaths. Oh my god, that was bad. Oh, look how nice everyone is. No one. I saw 45. That was close.
There was also a 1 million.
Almost everyone was in the 20s and 30s. I was no, I bonked a ton.
Yeah, even Christos had quite a few. 26, I believe it was.
Yep. All right, well, there you have the total time, 2:04:19 in game. It does look like they're getting set up in the commentary channel here for the next race, so I think we're going to cut this. Swerb, thanks for coming in for the interview.
Yeah, of course.
For those of you, again, who are continuing to watch this tournament, looks like Swerb will be doing commentary right here on Speed Gaming for the 9 p.m. race between A&D4H and Leo Dots. There will be a race on here in between here and then. Make sure to give both of these racers a follow, Swerb and ChristosOwen. Show them a little bit of love, and we'll set the stage here for the next race, which should be beginning here very shortly.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job, everybody.
Thank you very much for the
All right.
commentary.
Yep, take it away, guys, and have a good time.
Nice. Hello, everybody. I am the OK Guy, and with me again is Sakura Tsubasa.
That's correct.
I think I said your name pretty close to correctly. Is that-
Yeah, I know that yesterday it was the hot topic in chat. So yes, it is Sakura Tsubasa. That is correct.
Nice. I win. I totally got it. We have a great race coming up for you guys here, probably just in a few minutes. Carcat versus DT. I'm really hyped. I'm very, very hyped for this race.
Oh, I haven't been this excited for a race in a while. I'm definitely super excited for this one.
Nice. Do you have the IRC up? Because I do not. I'm a bad commentator.
I am actually logging into it as we speak.
Nice. I'll leave that totally up to you. My monitor is covered with stuff right now.